corporate life is top sport, to be honest, right? It's challenging, it's demanding, it's a high stake environment. And I think within corporate life, there's way too much focus on just skills, technical skills, right? And there's not enough focus on the person. And the person is really important because if you don't feel fit, if you don't mentally feel fit, if you are not able to prioritize, to optimize, and to be this best version of yourself, you will not be able to perform on a very high level from a business perspective. One cannot go without the other. And I think we're lacking that in corporate life, to be honest. And that was the biggest reason for me that after Kick-Ass, I felt there was room for another book.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Prime You series of interviews with top business and technology experts. I'm Dana Kohut, and today I am pleased and honored to welcome Hendrika Willemse, who is an incredible woman in technology and also motivational keynote speaker, author of books. Hendrika, I'd like to talk actually more about your new book that is about to be released, if I'm not wrong, but
Yes.
yeah, welcome to the Prime You. And to start off, I'd like maybe you could tell us a little bit more about yourself and about your career in tech, in sport. I know you have a prominent sports career, so the floor is yours.
Yes, cool. Well, I'm really excited to be here. So thank you for inviting me. Yes, I've been in tech for over 23 years, which is quite exciting. So I just turned 41 in August. So I started my tech journey when I was quite young. So here in the Netherlands, I did this technical education, and then basically I started my entrepreneurial and my working journey. Built my own company for the first 10 years, then basically sold my company, moved into more corporate life. Had several roles in management, but also in sales in more American international technology companies, which was very exciting. And then there's the sports side of me as well, indeed. So I did karate on an international level for over 20 years as well. And I think these elements combined are the foundation of a lot of the work that I'm doing, right? So my speakers work, the books that I write and actually publish, the trainings and workshops that I facilitate within companies at this point in time. I think they're the combination of me being in tech for over 23 years and then also the sports side of me is a big foundation of what I'm doing today.
Your career is great motivation for many women who aspire to build their career, their lives, and achieve the most. And I know that you have founded a company, the organization, right, called She in IT, where you promote female leadership in technology. So probably from your own experience, as you said, being an entrepreneur, also working for large enterprises in technology, you probably had the taste of being a woman in a very competitive, male, mostly predominantly male world. So tell us more about this organization. What goals did you set for yourself and for the organization prior to your work?
Yeah, I think when I started and I was building the brand She in IT, it was basically because after all these years in tech, I realized that I really enjoy being in tech, right? So I kind of flourish in being in these kind of environments. But I mean, it also comes with challenges because, like you said, I think the tech industry is mainly still consists of men, right? The traditional white man, if I can say it like that, the middle-aged white guy, which can be nice, right? So don't get me wrong, but I think it can be challenging for women as well because there are still a lot of biases out there. And I know tech can be great. You can have an awesome career in tech, and I wanted to share that knowledge with people, right? With women actually to motivate them to build their career, to choose their own journey, to not hold themselves back because they might be afraid or they're influenced by the opinion of others. And I kind of realized also after all these years that we don't have a lot of role models in the industry. I mean, we're getting more women who are actually visible, which I think is really, really important. Because not only for us, but also for young girls, right? Because they have no clue, and they're still raised in a very traditional way, I think, and especially also in the school system and everything. So for me, when I started that, the biggest goal was to inspire women to choose their own path and to choose their own success. And I wanted to give them the tools and the motivation to do so. So sharing that experience, being visible, but also helping organizations who are very motivated in actually attracting and retaining more female talent in our industry is also a very big part of my mission of what I'm doing.
As you said, you've been in the industry for over 20 years. Do you see any progress in terms of the female visibility, leadership, or we are still trying to crack the barriers?
I think a little bit of both. I like to say we're getting there, but I know we still have a long way to go. I mean, it's still a long journey. Things are definitely improving, but what I think, what I also see happening in the industry is that we're very focused on actually attracting more female talent in the industry. But I think retaining is a whole different ball game, right? It's a different challenge because the leaking pipeline, for example, is still there. I mean, there's still a lot of women dropping out of the industry when they progress their career or when they have life-changing events. And I think that it's getting a bit better, but we're still not there yet, right? The fact that we ask women when they become pregnant, how many days are you going to work now, is still a silly question, right? It's still not. I mean, it's not suitable for this time anymore, if you ask me. But I think the reality is there's still a lot of biases out there, and to some extent we're all biased, of course, right? Because we all have an opinion and we all have our own vision and view on the world. So I would like to say we're progressing, but I think the pace can be higher, to be honest.
And I know that on your page, right, prior to this interview, I went to your website, to your page, and I could see there are a lot of motivation, like try to achieve and be successful and don't give up to like your career or your family life, which sounds great, frankly speaking. But you know, at the same time, like for me, it was like being mom and also working in tech at the same time. I was just like, hey, this can be extremely hard task and the source for frustration, right? If you
Yes.
somebody tells you that you actually, you know, you don't have to give up on anything, you can achieve and overachieve in every aspect of your life. So from what would be your take on that? What is your teaching here?
Well, I do believe, I'm a strong believer that we
Mhm.
can have it all, but I think time is our biggest limitation, right? So we need to prioritize what we're doing. And so what has really helped me, because I have a 6-year-old, right? So I'm a mom, I'm a full-time working mom. And it's always been like that because I really wanted to progress my career as well, because I really felt that drive within me as well, but I wanted to be a good mom besides that. And I think a lot of the women feel that they have to choose between one or the other. But what has helped me is that I've defined all these roles in life, right? So there's the business side of me, there's the personal side of me, there's the mom, I'm married, so I'm a partner, I'm a friend, I'm all these things. And I defined the person I wanted to be in all these areas. And when it came to being a mom, what was really important to me and still is that I want quality over quantity.
Mhm.
So I realize I'm not always there, but if I'm there, I'm really truly there. And for me, that's a real difference, because what I also see happening is a lot of parents, they have their mom or dad day and they go out with their kids, they go to the playground, and then they sit there on their phone, right? I mean, they're not really there with interacting with the kid. So I basically decided I just want to have more quality in my life and more quality in the time that I have. And that's basically how I organize my whole life. And to be honest, that's not always easy, right? Because I juggle, I struggle from time to time. But then I just come back to, well, who do I want to be as a person? And what is it that I really find important? And I made some rules around that as well. I call them my life rules, saying, well, I want to work out at least 3 or 4 times a week. I want to have some me time because I think that's really important, because I don't want to be stressed. I have a strong morning routine, so I get up early. I basically invest time in me before the little one wakes up,
Mhm.
which also helps me to stay energized and to stay focused, but also relaxed, right? And I think the better I feel myself, the better mom I am, the better I made my business. I mean, if I'm a good person inside out, I mean, that reflects in what I do on a day-to-day basis. So basically tying back to, well, these rules on a weekly basis really helped me in structuring my days and structuring my priorities. And again, it's not always easy, right? And I know that a lot of the people, they have an opinion about you. Or they actually, I mean, when I go to the playground and people ask me, what do you do? And I explain that I'm a full-time working mom, they're like, oh, wow, right? But I'm quite sure if I would tell them, well, I'm working 3 days a week, then they will call me the part-time princess or anything like that, because people will always have an opinion about you.
Yeah.
And I mean, letting go of that side and just following your heart and what makes you happy, I think can be a real game changer for people. I think we just need to stop listening to what other people think.
I totally get it that first you invest in yourself, even in the morning routine. You do something good for yourself to be more present and invest in
Yeah.
others. That's a very powerful message.
And I think it's really important that we prioritize ourselves, right? Because again, I think also from a mental perspective, it's really important that we have a positive and strong mindset, because that's going to make life more easy for us.
Yeah, and probably this stems from your sports career. I know that you strongly focus on three kind of traits. Is first is resilience, discipline, and focus. So, can you maybe tell us a little bit more how one can change their mindset to be able to get more in life or get life in more color, right? To
Yeah.
achieve things.
I think what was really a game changer for me is that when I realized, because I started karate because I got bullied in high school, right? So it was not that I started karate because I thought, well, I'm going to be a world champion karate, because I never thought I would ever. So the reason I started karate is that I wanted to step up for myself and actually wanted to have a good feeling about myself. So confidence and be able to physically also stand up for myself was really important when I started at the time. And what was a real game changer during that period for me is that, I mean, being resilient is that we take control on how we handle challenges. And I mean, life is going to be challenging, right? We're going to be, things will happen to us. People will say things to us. I mean, people will get sick around us, right? It's just some things are just a given. I mean, I was quite young when my brother passed away, and that was a given. I couldn't change, I couldn't bring him back, but I had the decision how I was actually going to move forward. And that mindset, which is really coming from a karate background, was a real game changer. The fact that I realized we always have a decision. It's always up to us to decide how we want to handle things and the impact that we allow to have it on us.
What you're saying is like first it came to be able to maybe physically to protect yourself, but then it builds also mental resilience of accepting
Yes,
and moving forward.
yes, yes. It was a real game changer also because, I mean, we had a really nice group. It was a really safe environment. It was a really empowering and positive environment. And then basically when I progressed my karate career as well, I started feeling, well, I'm kind of good at it, right? I can really compete on a serious level. And that really grew my confidence as well, right? I during these years, I got the feeling that I I can actually be somebody, right? I'm good as is. I'm a good person. And I think that was also the environment that was created within our gym, and that's also really important. But it really taught me that I always compare it to when you throw a rock in the water, right? The water just goes like that, and sometimes we have to flow with stuff as well, right? You can try to be very firm about things, but sometimes it's just better to flow with what happens.
Okay. Hendrik, when I was reading your page, I really love the message that you are putting out there for women of being strong, resilient. At the same time, I had these thoughts that you just right now, you are very vocal about them, that some things that you need to accept and you need to be yourself and you need to build your mental and physical resilience to build your confidence. And so it really appeals really well to me. What I can see also, your motto is something very interesting. Don't be ordinary, strive for being extraordinary. What, maybe you could elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yes. So I think that a lot of the times a lot of people just settle for less, right? Or just settle for what they think is okay-ish. And I think we should not settle for something that is okay-ish. I think we should always go for the thing that really makes us happy, right? Regardless of what other people might think about that. And I think a lot of the times we're like this gray, right? We try to be gray. We try to satisfy all these people around us, and we're not really putting ourselves out there and really truly going for what it is that we want. And I'm like, life is too short. And I realized that when my brother passed away, but there was several other moments as well when I had that realization, that sanity check. I mean, our time here is limited. And why should you actually settle for a life which is not the thing that you completely want? Why should you stay in a relationship or a job which doesn't make you happy? Right? I truly feel that that's a waste.
Another aspect that I wanted to ask you is about the building the circle of support. How important
Oh
it
yeah.
is to have someone's back when you actually chase your dream.
I think that is really important, right? So I'm very fortunate that I married a guy who's always supportive. I mean, Henk is like always supporting me and my dreams. It doesn't really matter how silly it is. He might challenge me though, but if I say, well, I'm going to do it anyway, he's like, okay, you go figure it out. You go do that. And I think what also is really important is the fact that he has his role in taking care of our son as well, right? So we're kind of equals in this story. Although I do believe that women tend to step up a little bit more from time to time because it's just our feeling, right? Our nurturing or taking care feeling. But I think that support system is really important. And also when I started studying IT, my mom was really supportive because my brother was in IT. So she had an understanding of how cool that was and what that could actually mean for my career, but also for my independence, my financial independence, and for the quality of my life. So I think it's really important that we have people around us who support us in our dreams, no matter how silly they might sound or look from time to time. And I think what has always been very strong for me is that because I go back and forth from time to time, right? I make the step back in corporate life. Now I'm doing my own thing again, and I'm a person based on feeling, right? So the gut feeling for me is really important, um, and that I think that has been a real game changer for me. So if the feeling is good, I tend to actually go for something. And then there's one thing that I always ask myself. So one question I always use, and that's like, what is the worst that could happen?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What is the worst that could happen when I started my own business? What's the worst that could happen? Well, I could fail, and then I could go get another job, right? So I was like, well, I'm not going to die from that. I mean, right? That's not a really bad thing. So I always use that question actually to rationalize things for me. And what I also believe is that, I mean, today we can choose left, tomorrow we can go right. And every single day, every moment in time, we can actually make a different decision. We have that power. And it's not that when you choose left or right, you have to stick there for the rest of your life, right? It's okay to change because our life changes. We go through all these different phases, the different elements of life, and that might change our needs from time to time as well.
So, Hendrika, you at the beginning of our conversation touched on the lack of role models for women. I know that you were chosen to be a role model while you were working as country manager for Google
Yeah.
Cloud at Devo team in the Netherlands, right? So that is a huge thing for the new generation. Who is your current role model, and what do you think is missing for younger women who strive to build their careers in technology? Who should they be looking really up to?
I think I have different role models. I kind of have all these different role models, basically a variety, which tie into the phase that I'm in. Does that make sense,
Yeah,
right?
it
So
does.
if I'm like in this development phase, if I want to grow, I just look at all these different role models. What I tend to do is look at people who are always like a couple of steps ahead of me. And then I just go watch them. I go learn, I go view, and then I mean, I really like people who are actually putting themselves out there. And I think that's really important. And I think that's also important when we look at young girls, for example, because I think there's still this thing about role models that people tend to think, oh, that's her, but that's not for me. That's not something that I can achieve. And that is something that I really want to it's a strong message I want to bring across. And that's why I also support organizations here in the Netherlands like Equals, but also VHTO, who are doing a lot of education for young girls, because I think it's really important that everybody understand, well, you can be a role model too. It's not that a role model is from a different planet or anything like that. I mean, we're all just out there, just trying to do our best and doing everything we can. And you can be that as well, right? You don't have to be extraordinary to be a role model. You can just be you. And I think that's really important that young girls and young talent, they really understand, well, I can achieve that as well. The picture that a lot, and especially young girls, young women see, the picture is always picture perfect, right, on social media, and the reality is that that's not the journey. I mean, I was very happy when I won a karate tournament, but the truth is, I've lost way more often, and that was part of the journey. And when I started my speaker's journey as well, I started doing a lot of work for free because I just wanted to practice and learn and fail and build myself actually before I could be on stage to do paid engagements. Right. So I think it's also about that journey.
Mhm.
And again, I think social media, sometimes we need to get real a bit more, right? It can be a bit more human. And also the shit things that happen during our journey, because I mean, I know I have a nice story, but I've had my fair share of shit, and I still have every single day. I mean that's what makes us human. What makes us human? We need to learn to embrace failure, and failure can be, and especially women, we can be so hard on ourselves, right? We can be so hard on ourselves, and I think we can be a little bit more empathetic for ourselves from time to time, like we are for others, for example. And um, I mean, embracing the learning curve is really important. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? The failure is going to be there. And if we embrace that, but also if we start learning, embracing the things that might not be that strong from ourselves, right? Because we always talk about, well, our strengths and our weaknesses. I don't like the word weaknesses because I think we're just not as strong, which makes it a little bit more positive. But we have this downside, right? I have my challenges, I have my downside. And I think when you start learning to embrace that, you will truly start to love who you are as a person. Also, the things which might not be your proud thingies.
Hendrika, tell us a bit more about your book. What is the book about? I know you have dedicated the book to your son, which is lovely. So it's like a dedication to the next generation. Tell us a little bit more about the book, your motivation to put your thoughts, your expertise, and your experience into this publishing. So,
Yeah, no, definitely. So High Performance Lifestyle is going to come out next week, so that's really exciting. I'm self-publishing, which is which is
excited.
kind of challenging, but I'm a bit stubborn. So I this time I realized, well, I want to do it myself because I really wanted to dedicate the book to my son. And people ask me, well, is that professional to dedicate a management book to your son? And I was like, well, I'm going to do that anyway. I really don't care what people think about that, because for me, it's like I really want him to, and I think everybody deserves that in life, but I really want him to know that he can truly be himself, that he can be comfortable with who he is as a person, that he can be proud about himself, but that he also has the power to choose his own journey in life. And that's, I think that's the biggest gift that I want to give him in life. And I think we all deserve that. And High Performance Lifestyle basically is a combination of my experience as an entrepreneur and professional, but also the sport side of my journey. And the reason why I feel that's important is because, I mean, corporate life is top sport, to be honest,
Mhm.
right? It's challenging, it's demanding, it's a high stake environment. And I think within corporate life, there's way too much focus on just skills, technical skills, right? And there's not enough focus on the person. And the person is really important, because if you don't feel fit, if you don't mentally feel fit, if you are not able to prioritize, to optimize, and to be this best version of yourself, you will not be able to perform on a very high level from a business perspective. One cannot go without the other. And I think we're lacking that in corporate life, to be honest. And that was the biggest reason for me that after Kick-Ass, I felt there was room for another book.
Would that be the book that actually strives to help people have more meaningful work in the corporate environment, or that would be not what you try to achieve with this
Well,
book?
I think in every area. I think it's for these ambitious people out there who really want to build a high performing lifestyle. And a high performing lifestyle, people tend to think that that's very hard, but it's not, right? You can build a high performing lifestyle in being a stay at home mom, for example, or stay at home dad, for example. It's just for people who want to actually gain everything out of life, in every element of life, who want to have like all these elements and have the energy to actually realize and create their vision and their ambition. So to me, that's really important, again, because earlier on in the interview, what I said to you is that I think that a lot of the people often don't really go for the thing that they really want. or they really truly feel from inside that it's their passion. And I really think that's a waste.
I'd like to finish this discussion, this chat with you, with your advice to younger generation of women who want to build their career, who want to become successful.
Well, I think to me there are a couple of things, and I think it's really important that I mean, build confidence, right? Gain that confidence in yourself and that connection with yourself, and just stick to what it is that you really want to do, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to step up and speak up, right? So confidence is really important, but I think also mentorship. Get these right people around you, and if you feel that you have people in your circle which are not the right people, don't be afraid to say goodbye, right? I mean, that can be very hard, and I've been there myself because I was very young when I started my professional career. So I was doing all these different things. I wasn't the one partying the whole weekend because I was either working or in the karate, in the dojo. So I had this different lifestyle, but it was fulfilling for me. And I think it's really important that you have these people around you who support you, because if not, it's going to be a very lonely journey, right? You will not be able to hold on to that on the long term. So from a long term perspective, it's really important that you have these people around you who are empowering, who are building you up, who are positive for you. So confidence, mentorship, networking is also really important. I mean, LinkedIn is like, it was a massive game changer for me, to be honest, but networking with people. And if you find that scary, just go find a friend to actually go with, right? If you don't want to go alone. And to be honest, I'm this social introvert, right? So if you put me in an event where I don't know anybody, I'd rather just sit on the toilet for an hour and a half than actually go meet new people. But I just go, I just put myself out there, or I just bring like this wingman or wingwoman, which really works for me. And I think it's really important that you continue learning, right? Continue to grow and develop yourself. Both the harder side, but also the soft side is really important as a person, right? But I think also now that we have this whole AI area, which is a real game changer, right? And if you don't learn, if you don't adapt, if you're not agile, you're going to stay behind. And I think that's even the impact of that is going to we're going to become even bigger as we progress through time. Because I think if you ask us 3 years ago what we have now, nobody could have imagined.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a real game changer. So I think if you can really adapt AI in your professional career, if you start to learn how to use it and to use it for yourself in your career, but also for your own development, I think that can really be a game changer for people and for young talent.
Yeah, I really like that part about building the confidence. Well, every aspect that you have mentioned is tremendously important. What I really feel for is building your confidence through achieving at least in one sphere of your life. It can be sport, it can be, academic achievement or career. That actually is something that lets you know that you are really like top performer you can achieve, and build on that, right? Build kind of that
Yeah.
foundation. I really like your recommendation of keeping up with new trends, right? We often say that there is like place in technology it's been taken already, but there are new things that just emerge. It can be your chance to learn, become expert, and to be the top voice, right? Or top expert in certain domain. AI is a great actually opportunity for many people out there. Yeah, so Hendrika, thank you so much for your time. I really loved our discussion, and I believe many of our listeners will learn from your expertise, from your knowledge, and from your experience. It's been a truly great pleasure.